Greetings. Welcome to the Jason Damico Show. We are back, and we've got a very special guest, as always, on this program. For those of you listening on Spotify, iTunes, Simplecast, welcome. You can't see my face, but it's good to have you with us. Got a cat coming in from California.
What's up?
And his name is Tylin.
Hi.
New to the music scene, the industry, and based on what this guy just sang for me a couple of minutes ago, seemed like he's been in it for about 50 years. This is a young cat, and I already could tell you there's promising things ahead for you, man. Welcome to the Jason Damico Show.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
It's good to be here.
Let's get to beginning stages. Let's get into, vocals, influences, where you started.
Okay. So growing up, I was born in a very musical family. All of my family members sing. Both my grandmas, on my mom's side and my dad's side, kid you not, they can flat out sing complete. You know what? Actually, no, not sing. Sang. Sang is the key word.
S-A-N-G.
That's the best way that I can possibly put it. It's like everybody in the family, minus granddad, had actually been able to sing. Like both my grandmas and my grandma's sister, they sang together and they sounded wonderful. Grandma on dad's side, she had all the range. That's where I got all my range from. Let me see.
Very Stevie Wonder as far as
Yes.
vocally from what I heard.
Yes.
It's just hitting me now. Like I'm thinking of some of those influences. Was there anybody else that you were really listening to?
Oh, yes.
Maybe more in the modern realm of things, but it's still got that like old, not in a, you know what I mean? Not in a it's just got that like rootsy sound, but it's still modern. Was that on purpose, or was that more just kind of like your voice naturally?
That's just how my voice is naturally. Normally, so I have a kind of very extensive range.
Yeah.
So in terms of my vocal influences, like Stevie Wonder, for example, one prime example. Donny Hathaway, another prime example. Aretha Franklin, another prime example. Who else? Patti LaBelle, Ella Fitzgerald. Yeah, those are just some of the main influences that I've had.
So you started like out of the womb, basically.
Basically,
You can't even remember when you started.
I don't. The earliest I can remember is 5.
Were there any like memories that kind of flood back around 3, 4, 5, 6 in that range? Like was there a record that really you gravitated towards, and if so, what was it? Kind of what your parents were listening to, grandparents.
So
what were some of those?
Say for example, my grandma always loved Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
My mom loved Aretha Franklin. My dad, he loves Aretha Franklin too, but he would listen to more Donny Hathaway, more Lenny Williams. Not entirely too sure if you guys are too familiar with that.
I haven't heard the name.
I'm trying to think of a song that he did. Something like, "Girl, you know I love you, and every word that I say is true, 'cause I love you." Something like that.
Nice.
But
Nice, man.
that's one prime example of somebody he would listen to, and basically who he got to sing at his wedding for my mom and my dad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you play anything?
I play piano, and I can play violin. Not very good, but
Where the piano influence, was that kind of the same time as far as vocally when you started singing? So you were again like just
yeah,
right in it from the beginning.
basically. So when I was growing up, I always had a well, music was in my blood, and music is technically my soul. So, like growing up, I was always singing.
Yeah.
I found out that I could play piano by ear, so any song that I heard, I could play. And I just taught myself from there. But from the moment I turned 6, I've been taking classical piano lessons. So, yeah.
You're one of those. That's awesome, man. That's great. So California, you came over recently.
Very recently, like it's been 10 months.
So from California originally.
Born and raised.
What part?
From the North Bay, SF Bay area.
Okay. What would you say are the main differences from there to here? Because that's a bit of a stretch, man.
Putting it bluntly, there's a whole lot more vegetation here than it is in California.
Right.
California, it's just basically like the bay.
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot of water versus any type of like trees. Living situation is decent. It's really expensive. Like stupid expensive.
What was the main reason why you came out?
I actually moved with my family. So
Okay.
Mom and dad, mom is sickly, trying to help dad take care of mom.
I gotcha. Well, I'm really excited for you. Let me talk about riffing for a second because you've obviously got that down. In my world, like the rock and roll, blues type of thing. I mean, there's definitely some riffs in blues, but as far as like that classic R&B, more like gospel, that's a whole other animal, man.
It really is.
Now, how did so you just kind of like started vocalizing like that from the beginning?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a gift, When walk me through that process of like, if you want to try and learn a riff, is it more of like you hear it first in your head and then you kind of execute it? Is it more of like maybe you're just jamming on piano, maybe you're writing and something kind of comes out like improvised?
So I think in that realm, it's more geared towards how you feel the music. So you do what you feel would best suit the song or how you feel in that song. So a riff can be sad. It can be uplifting. It can be surprising because you have surprising moments in life.
Right.
So say, for example, I do something along the lines of love.
Nice little minor pentatonic, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
so something like that, you don't really feel it. You didn't put anything into it. If you want to do a run, say something in a song like I Have Nothing, you would place that run in there because you feel something from the song, right? And basically, you can teach yourself how to riff. Riffing it's a learned skill, I think. At least in my opinion, because I've seen somebody go from not singing any riffs at all to singing well-placed riffs.
Right. Well, and placement is key.
This is very true.
Placement is key because to be able to stay on pitch and move fluidly but distinctly. It's very, like I said, I tip my hat off to you guys. It's a whole different realm. Me coming from like baritone world, it's a little bit, I don't know, it takes a little bit more gusto to make it happen, but I feel like with the tenor voice, it's just that sweet spot where it's a little bit pingier, you know, a little bit more forward.
Right.
And this is beautiful. It's great.
Well, thank you so much. See, in my case, I'm a tenor, but I'm a countertenor, so I'm higher than the regular tenor.
We can tell. That is awesome, man. So let's get into kind of what you've got coming up right now, as far as working with our good friend, Miss Evelyn Putnam of Evelyn Putnam Designs, your management group, which they have a beautiful card here, Torenzo brands. What do you got coming up?
So I was just actually shooting my music video today for an upcoming project that I am working on. Having been introduced to Evelyn, I cannot be more thankful enough for having met her.
Incredible.
I can't even be more thankful enough for having met my manager because, like, without these guys, I can't make it happen. But I do have a project coming up. The name of the album is actually called Tylin, as in telling your life in notes, versus my name, which is Tylin, as in Tylyn. So the first major song that I am working on is Shades of Sepia. So that song is actually geared towards my experience through life, coming up as I'm growing up as an artist in this industry, trying to make it, and also trying to take care of my family as well.
What's your writing process?
So,
Which is a broad question, but I always ask everybody this, you know.
So, my writing process, how do I put it? It's like this. I listen to music and I can write music right along to it. Like the lyrics to go along with the music. And I'll have a vivid idea about how I want the song to sound. But if I'm just writing lyrics without the music and I'm just trying to think of something, I'll think of something, but I really won't know how it will sound. So, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. It's kind of like a genre jump for you, but I'm sure you've heard of the name. He always talked about, and this is kind of the way that I've found myself to write, where it's like you hear something, or it's either in the consciousness or it's something that you're just doing physically, and it's like, what does this sound mean? You know what I mean? Like, what does this mean? So I think that's pretty interesting, and it's everybody. Like this week, for instance, and you could probably find some sort of resonance with this. You know, you never know when it's gonna just drop. You never know when that creativity is gonna spiral out, and it just goes and goes and goes. And you've got like the little voice memo app on your phone, and you know, you find that. Like the same thing?
Yes,
You'll kind of have those dry spots, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, 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 boom.
Like, I'm just trying to figure out how to make it consistent, because when you're starting
Good luck, man.
That's one process that I haven't mastered yet, but when it comes down to writing, if I have music, I'm good.
Well, I think one of the things that I learned from a lot of my mentors was they always said, you got to find a way to still yourself. And that was one of the things, like in my like teen years, I kind of started getting in tune to that. And I mean, this stuff takes years to figure out, you know, but it's like, there is something to be said about that. And then you start filtering, you self-filter, and then all of a sudden, you know when something isn't going to work, so you don't really bother going down that road.
Yeah.
That's good, though, because it's just that purging process.
Yeah.
And it just makes everything better and better and better. I'm excited to see what happens with the Telling Your Life in Notes project. And when is that coming out?
So
later in this year, perhaps, or
sometime around fall. We're trying
2020?
Of 2020, yes.
Okay. Cool, man. You've recently auditioned for American Idol, correct? Or
yes.
in The Voice?
Yes. So I auditioned for American Idol back in 2018.
Okay.
When I was still living in California. And then in 2019, I auditioned. Actually, no, it's 2020, because it was
pretty recent then.
Yeah, it was like the 28th that I went to go and audition last month. Mind you, I stood out in line for 16 hours.
Dude, can you talk to me about that? Because I've never done one of these before. And I've had like dozens of people over the years in my career. Like, you've got to audition for it's like, I just never did it. you know, walk me through this experience. I know people that have done it. I've got friends of mine that have, but I want to hear your personal, you know.
So for American Idol in California, you get in line. You're excited to try out. It's 6,500 people there in line waiting to try out. You're in line for basically 8 hours, 45 minutes waiting to try out. By the time you get up there, and you can't even get out of line. If you get out of line, you lose your spot, and then you have to start back from the beginning. Like, it's that bad. And mind you, they don't even pass out water there. So you have to bring your own water bottle.
Oh, my God, man.
And mind you, I brought water. I drank it. I dried out. So when I dried out and went to try out.
Dried out, went to try out.
It didn't work.
It's like a T-shirt or something.
Right.
It's going to be like a tour T-shirt for you.
That part. Yeah, so you go to try out. You have a pre-screening. So you try out as a group, basically. So it's individually one person sings, another person sings, another person sings, and then another person sings. And in that roster, one person gets picked. And then it goes on to the next person or people behind line. Mm-hmm. So when it was my time to try, I sang Ain't No Way by Aretha Franklin. I sounded good for the first 20 seconds, and then it sounded like I smoked 20 cigarettes.
And that was just because of the
drying out process. It was 100 degrees.
Oh, God.
So I was like low-key dying.
Jeez. Wow. So The Voice, recently.
Yes.
That was 16 hours?
That was 16 hours.
16 hours.
16 hours.
It wasn't, that was locally in this area?
No, I actually went to Baltimore to go and try out. I could have actually done it.
Because I saw something come through that they were doing it here.
Yeah, they were, but that was the second audition that I had to do and place in.
Okay.
So I went to go and try out in, Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Mind you, it's like 17 degrees. I didn't wear enough clothes.
Oh, no, man. No.
I felt like my bones and blood were freezing. Like, It was that bad. And mind you, that was 16 hours. I was waiting outside for like 8. I got in the building, was waiting in line again for like another 4. And then I sat down finally. And that was that part where you go and try out in a group of 10. So in that group of 10, I got there. I thought I wasn't going to do that good because I was cold and I couldn't really let out any notes.
Right.
Come to find out, I did good enough to actually pass. So
awesome, man.
They had said, send in your video audition. So I opted to do that. When I came back, I sang Comfortable by Her and sent that in. Still waiting to hear back on that. So first audition, I passed. Second audition, I don't know if I did. So we're waiting to see.
Well, break a leg with that, my friend.
Thank you.
It's a trying process for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
I have a fun thing that I like doing towards the end, and I call it the shootout section, where I say a word, and you kind of spit back a word that just first comes to mind. And I love, everybody's always got that like timid look on their face, like, what is this guy gonna ask me? I promise you it's industry related. Vocal.
Musical influences.
That works. Mic.
Sound check.
Yeah. Stage.
Camera.
Excuse me. Audience.
Pause.
It's good. It's real good. Studio.
Sound check.
Live.
All the way.
It's another good one, man. It's really good. Writing.
Feelings.
Another good one. Funk.
Soul.
Oh, hell yeah. Pop.
Fun.
throw this one in before the last one. Spirit.
Hook.
Oh my God. All right, last one. You ready? Mm-hmm. Pizza.
Big Belly.
Is that a brand?
No.
Oh, yeah. Could be a brand. Hey, another tour opportunity, man. Another tour opportunity. Cool. I always ask everybody this question. If you could go back to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, the life experiences that you've had, what would you say?
Be yourself. Put your best foot forward. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it because they don't like you or your music. And don't stop and don't hold back. You're doing great.
Awesome. Do you have any other last words, my friend?
Well, upon working with all the people on this project and getting this inspirational message out there, working with Evelyn, working with you, working with Jeff, like, this I can't be more thankful for.
I wanna bring up one other thing real quick, because I feel like you're just this kind of guy. Spirituality. What? Anything going on there? Anything you'd like to touch on with that?
So, I meditate and I pray. Some say the two don't mix. I think they go hand in hand.
I think they're the same thing.
Technically, yes. I high-key agree. I think you pray to achieve peace or inner peace, and I think you meditate to achieve outer peace and work that prayer into fruition.
Have you noticed any differences with that musically? Like, for instance, you know, seems like it's strange. The more that I take the time to do that, things just kind of happen.
Mm-hmm. I'm like the same way. Like, you just.
I was vibing that from you in a weird, like, just talking here and that's why I'm like throwing this in at the end, because I was like, oh yeah, like spirituality, like write it down. I didn't think of it until now, but it just seemed I felt that like vibration from you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool, man. Well, I'm very excited for you.
Me too.
And you should be. With that type of voice, man, I would be. Description box and all those details we'll iron out. Get an email thread going back and forth with Jeff and your team. Yeah, man. I guess that's it. Well, again, if you have any last words. Besides what you said when I said last words.
No, I think that's about all I have.
Cool, bro. We gotta do something together at some point. Musically. That'll be cool. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Jason Damico Show. Remember to like, subscribe, share. And we are out. Peace.